Hello, and welcome back to the Sustainable Brown Girl podcast. This show exists to connect Black, Brown, and Indigenous women who are interested in sustainability. Our goal is to inspire, encourage, and educate each other, from gardening to thrifting to minimalism to veganism and everywhere in between. We are all on a journey to taking care of our bodies and our planet. I'm your host, Ariel Green. It's a new year, and it's the perfect time for a fresh start. In the new year, I love goal setting and reflecting on the past year to see what worked and what needs improvement. As for my sustainable goals last year, my biggest achievement was getting involved with the local community garden. I volunteer by doing their social media outreach, as well as grunt work in the garden a few times a month. That's earned me 2 free raised beds and a spot on the gardener's board of members. On the other hand, one aspect of my life that needs major improvement is eating takeout. I ordered delivery way more than I care to share, but in the spirit of authenticity, I'll tell you anyway. According to DoorDash's 2020 year in flavor email, I made 104 orders. Girls, not only is that hard on the wallet, goodbye savings, it's hard on the body, hello quarantine 15, and hard on the planet. So much plastic. It was a tough year, so if you fell off your sustainable goals, you're obviously not alone, and it's okay. That's the great thing about a new year, because it's a global reset button. But remember that you don't have to wait until a new year or a new month or even a new week to make better choices. We always have the option to start fresh. In this week's show, I'm sharing 7 sustainable goals that you can try incorporating this year and beyond. But first, I want to share a podcast review that was left on Apple Podcasts. This is by Ty Chanel, titled Relatable and Interesting. It reads, I keep coming back each week to learn from the amazing sustainable brown girls featured in each episode. I feel so seen by this podcast and have learned so many ways that I can become more sustainable. Thank you so much for leaving a review. It really helps us out. So please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I'll read it in an upcoming episode. Okay, now back to the topic at hand. The first goal is to get involved. 2020 was a big year for activism, so we should definitely keep the momentum going. There are so many ways to be an activist other than going to protests and marches, which honestly aren't really my thing. For political activism, you can call and email politicians about important issues, or sign up for phone or text banking to reach out to your community. To help beautify your neighborhood, volunteer to do trash cleanups or tree planting, or find a local community garden. To push your favorite brands to make better products, call their customer support or send an email. This is something that I plan on doing more of this year. Second, continue educating yourself on all of the important topics, such as climate change, politics, and racial issues. Listen to more podcasts, watch reputable YouTube videos, read more magazines and books. I recently watched a video on YouTube by Shel Bizzle about why we should stop recycling. It was really eye-opening into how recycling has been greenwashed, and it's really not what we are led to believe. I've also started listening to the podcast How to Save the Planet, and I plan on reading the book All We Can Save by Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson and Catherine Wilkinson. Third, we can keep spreading the word about the importance of sustainability and making better choices on behalf of the planet. Leading by example is probably the best way to start converting people to caring about the environment. I found that by going through my daily life with my usual sustainable swaps, family, friends, and strangers will make comments or ask why I'm doing a particular thing. For example, I live in a small town and not many people use reusable produce bags. So when I check out at the grocery store, if the cashier comments on them, I tell them that it's a great way to cut back on plastic waste. It doesn't have to be a complicated explanation. You just want to leave a positive impression. Speaking of plastic, the fourth sustainable goal that we can achieve this year is to use less plastic. There's still a pandemic going on, so this goal isn't as simple as it was in the past, even though it was still difficult prior to the pandemic, but there's always room for improvement. I can reduce my plastic consumption by ordering less delivery. If you're not sure how or where you can use less plastic, I would suggest doing a trash audit, where you literally look through your trash at the end of the week and see what types of things you're throwing away and try to think of some alternatives. As for our fifth goal, in addition to using less plastic, we can also aspire to buy less stuff in general. A lot of our waste comes from buying things that we truly don't need, be it clothes, makeup, housewares, or food in my case. There are usually some places that we can cut back. If you do need to buy something, look into getting it secondhand or purchasing from a company that utilizes sustainable or ethical practices. And while you're buying less stuff, also consider getting rid of some things that you no longer need. There are few feelings more satisfying than clearing space in your home and mind. Our sixth sustainable goal is to eat more plants. I know many people are participating in Veganuary, where you are vegan for the month of January. This is a great way to jumpstart transitioning to a plant-based diet. Even if you aren't vegan full-time, there are many health benefits to eating more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And of course, it's better for the environment. Former podcast guest Ashley Renee has a cookbook for beginner vegans that might be helpful if you need ideas. It's called Basic Ass Vegans, and check the show notes for a link. The seventh and final sustainable goal is to grow something. I've heard so many people say that they don't have a green thumb, but to be honest, most people aren't born knowing how to keep a plant alive. As with anything, it takes a little bit of time and patience and effort to see the fruits of your labor. But trust me when I say that it's so worth it. You don't have to start a whole garden, but if, for example, you use herbs often while cooking, consider having a small herb plant of your top used herb. Or at the very least, get a houseplant. If you're a new plant mom, a pothos is a great starter plant. In an upcoming episode, I talk with Jasmine from Black Girls with Gardens more about this topic. So there you have it. 7 fairly simple ways to be more sustainable this year. There are so many ways to reach any sustainable goals that you may have, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to try your best. Thank you so much for listening to this Sustainable Brown Girl podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share it if you loved it, and leave a review. You can find us on Instagram at Sustainable Brown Girl, and check out our Facebook community. We would love to have you there. Until next time, let's continue to make healthy choices for the health of our planet and the health of our bodies. Thanks for listening.